So there's a concept you're going to learn today that is actually a concept I think could apply to all types of painting, but it's a concept that you're going to learn today that is probably something you may not have heard before. So Tom Christopher's here to tell us all about it. Tom, what are you going to teach us today?
Today I'm going to have you or make you change your pastel painting into an oil painting. Make it look like an oil painting. Still a pastel painting, but it's going to have that similar effect as an oil painting.
So that like the texture.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm really curious about that. Okay, well, we're going to get started. We'll be right back.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Hi there, I'm Eric Rhodes. We are here every weekday at 12 noon, and you can subscribe on YouTube or follow on Facebook or Instagram. Hit the subscribe button and also the little bell. That way, that way you'll get notified. And just find us on YouTube, and that's at Art School Live. Just look it up, Art School Live. Our guest today is a very accomplished painter. His name is Tom Christopher. And he's a pastel painter, but he manages to get these effects in his paintings that are textural, effects of oil. You're going to want to see this. Even if you're not a pastel painter, you might be able to apply this to other things, but also because you're probably going to want to learn to become a pastel painter. Just saying. We have a prize today. If you are watching and you put a comment in, you could win a pair of value specs, which help you see values. Great training tool when you're learning to paint, but quite frankly, I use them. I've been using them for years. They're fabulous. The winner of our last prize is Marilee Kelsey in Saratoga Springs, Utah. I know exactly where that is. Been there. All right, and we have a free gift for you today. If you would like, learn from the best artist with this exclusive free video. It is about 5 hours of video, 50 top artists, and you can get it on streaming or on DVD if you prefer. Just go to 97artsecrets.com. If you get it on DVD, I think you got to pay for the shipping, but you can get it streaming completely free. And if you subscribe to this, just hit the subscribe button. All right. We would prefer to have you do that. And that is Art School Live on YouTube. And also please give a follow on Instagram, etc. Okay, now we're going to go right to our guest, Tom Christopher. Tom, welcome back.
Welcome.
All right,
Good
so
to be
I'm going
back.
to let you just go ahead and explain what you're doing.
Okay. This is the image I'm going to be working off of. This is actually a pastel painting. It has a textured underpainting. What I'm going to be doing today is the textured underpainting. And all that is applying texture before you add the pastel. In order to accomplish that, after you do the texture, you have to cover it with a glaze of fine pumice gel, which is clear. And that will help smooth the surface for the pastel to be applied. But I'll go on with that in a little bit.
All right.
So I'm going to be changing this image and putting on another board. Actually, this is Gator board, which I'm working on. And I'll show you how I get started with this underpainting texture.
So a lot of painters, a lot of pastel painters paint on sanded paper. You're
Right.
not going to be doing that today, right?
No, I'm actually painting right on this Gator board, which is
All
a
right.
stiff plastic composite, very light, very easy to frame. So I've been using this now for about 15 years. Pretty happy.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's
can
see you
paint
do
right
it.
on if you want. A lot
see
of
you
the
do
other paintings- Go ahead.
I said, let's see you do it.
Okay, I'm ready. Let me switch out my paintings here.
Uh-oh. That looked like a disaster waiting to happen.
No. I'm going to set this one aside so I have a reference to look at.
All right.
Let me show you this mess that's actually the underpainting.
What do you mean mask?
Mess, M-E-S-S.
Oh, mess.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a hot mess.
yeah.
Why do you have
You know,
tape on it?
Huh?
Why do you have green tape on it?
Oh, I mask off the area where I don't want the texture to be applied.
Ah,
So if I wanted the sky up here, which I do, and a little space down here, then I'll tape off the rest of the area, this area. So the texture, when I'm flicking it on there, won't go into this area. Does that make sense?
yep.
Good. So this is all dry, and the texture is applied with house paint.
Now wait, well, help us understand what you've done here. You've already just kind of sketched it in with pastel.
Well, I've kind of drawn it out with a pencil.
Okay.
Then I've taken a little bit of house paint, which are these marks here.
House paint.
Yeah, just regular acrylic house paint. In fact, all these textures is house paint. This is all house paint. And here's an example of it here.
Oh yeah, so you just dribble it on?
Yep, that's it. I'm going to show you real quick how I do this
Okay.
on this Gator board.
You probably do it flat though, right?
Yeah. See how I'm dripping this?
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. People at the workshops I do just love this. And then I take a towel like this and just dab it. Very lightly, leaving that raised area.
Yeah.
of
So
paint.
you could also use something thicker like a gesso or something too, right?
Absolutely. Anything that will create these little raised drippings.
Now, do you tend to try to put the drippings in an area where you know you're going to have a lot of foliage or
Right.
something?
And the more you do this, you can actually indicate light areas as well as heavy areas
Okay.
to create a tree or a bush.
So this is something that you can do. You could really do this with oil painting,
Absolutely.
and you could do it with watercolor. Do you know how?
I had never used it with watercolor.
Well,
but I have,
So somebody, I think it's Golden, forgive me if I'm wrong on this, has just come out with a new material. You can coat any surface with this material and it'll absorb watercolor. So
well, that's interesting.
you could create texture with watercolor using a gesso and then coat it with that material.
Right. That sounds interesting. I may have to look that up.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Well, you know, you came to the right place to find these things out.
Yeah, I know. So this is basically what I'm doing. Okay.
All right.
And these
Now,
turn
how
into-
much, like how high will you try to get the bumps to be?
Well, that's kind of preference. You know, if you mix this acrylic, or I'll call it a glaze. It's actually called fine pumice gel. It's made by the Golden Company,
Yeah.
and you can make that as thick or as heavy as you want.
So you mix it into the pumice gel into the acrylic paint?
After this dries. After
Oh,
this
you mean you're
dries-
going to do another layer?
Right, and it's going
Oh.
to be clear. This is a gel. If you mix it,
Oh.
and then it fills in the real raised areas, makes it a little smoother.
So
You'll
why don't
still
you just
have a
make
pebble finish, but
why don't you just make it all clear?
it is.
No, I mean, when you're putting the acrylic on, why don't you just use the gel?
Well, you want these raised areas from the paint.
Oh, so the gel doesn't create raised areas.
No, this is almost watercolor base.
I see, but so the pumice then makes the surface rough for the
Right.
pastel.
exactly
I
it
see.
has pumice in it, which is a good surface for pastel.
I get it. All right.
So this
know,
has
I-
taken several years to develop. So.
I'm a little dense. It takes me a while.
Okay,
Hey, you
let me-
people in
let
the
me back
comments,
up.
no reinforcing that. All right.
Okay, I got
All
you.
right.
Anyway, this has got if you run your hand across this, it's going to have that rough kind of textured feeling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if I put this glazing water-based pumice gel, it smooths this out and it's clear, but still retains these shapes.
Oh, so do you put it over everything?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. This
Cool.
is the last step before I add the pastel.
All right.
Okay,
So the one you have on the wall has already had that done.
I haven't put the glaze on yet.
Okay.
I've just dribbled this paint. I'm still going to add acrylic, almost water-based color to this before I add the fine pumice gel.
Oh, really? Okay. Let's find out about that.
I'm going to take this off. It just so happens that I watched the Clyde Absvik video again for the 4th time. And I was surprised and, well, happy that I found out that he actually works on acrylic underpainting,
Yeah.
which I wasn't aware of. And I've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a validation that maybe I'm doing something right here.
You know, there are a lot of people who do that.
Oh, I know now, yeah.
Yeah. Joe McGurl does that.
Well, I've done it for years on this Gator board, so as long as I do that acrylic underpainting and cover it with that fine pumice gel, the surface is perfect for pastel. So I'm going to go ahead and add some acrylic that's pretty watered down, so it's going to be almost like
All right.
watercolor.
Well, the nice thing about acrylic is it dries fast.
Right. And you can make it as thick or as light as you want.
Now, is your goal to let some of that color show through?
Right. And that's always been my goal,
Ah,
to let some of this texture. In fact, the more I do this, the more I'm comfortable with letting more of this stuff show through. So it's kind of a learning process.
so I just want to tell Gabriel Savage Stockman, it's the Clyde Aspivik video. For whatever reason, my keyboard isn't working. I can't type in the chat today. All right.
Yeah, that was a great video. And
Oh yeah, it's the best selling. I think one of the best selling videos we've ever had. It's just spectacular.
Well, I've had a habit of buying videos for years, and that's definitely the best one I've ever seen. So I was pretty happy with it.
Good.
I'm gonna go ahead and start adding some color to this, and like I said, this is pretty watered down acrylic, and I'm just using this basic thin body acrylic paint.
All right.
You can buy it, I don't know, Hobby Lobby or Michaels.
Hey, you guys, tell us where you're watching from, and you could win a prize. Value Specs today is the prize. Our guest today is Tom Christopher. If you're just tuning in, he's going to teach you, or he's teaching you how to put texture underneath your pastel paintings, but this could work for any medium, really.
Okay, I start out with my pastels with my darks first. So I've got some green mixed in with some brown. I may be referring to Asvik's video once in a while because I find out that I've been doing stuff just like he has for quite a while. But
Well, that's why you're so good.
yeah. Well, I would never claim to be as good as he is. But
Well, nobody would.
no. I was just happy to finally see him paint a full. I'd never seen that before.
Well, that's a rarity because, you know, a lot of people we all do workshops and demos, and he doesn't do that anymore.
I know. Those lucky people that actually took a class from him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just adding some basic darks here before I go on with some more detail. And like you said, this stuff dries pretty fast.
So you're going to put the pumice over the acrylic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said, that dries clear.
Yeah.
So it's, like I said, I started this process years ago. It's taken a while. When I first developed this thing, I had to make sure that it was going to be stable. So I actually painted some and let them sit for several years to see if there'd be any change in them. And there really hasn't been.
Oh, cool.
So that was surprising.
Well, this is you actually. It's interesting because you know you're mixing medium. So
Right.
Albert Handel, who is a pastel painter, paints on his sanded paper with watercolor to create to create an undertone.
You know what? I think he was the first pastel artist that I know of that ever did that.
Probably.
And that's kind of where I got this idea.
Yeah.
Now, when this dries, you're still going to be able to take your hand over this and feel the texture. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. And it's already dried. I just, as far as painting, I think this is the most fun I have is right here because I don't think you can ruin an underpainting.
Yeah, you can.
Well,
I've done it. Well, the problem is if you get something too dark in where you don't want it, it's pretty hard to overcome that.
well, that's true, I guess, but it's going to be covered with pastel for the most part anyway. So
That's true. And pastel's got good coverage.
right. And I'm pretty fast with this, but I'm just adding color and I'm having fun. So,
Well, if you're not having fun, there's no reason to do it.
well, that's just it. And I'm also thinking about where the light's going to be and where it's coming from. Right now, it's going to be coming from this direction.
Ah, you got a little arrow there. Okay.
Yeah. So, I put some tape in here when I was doing the texture, so it's left these bare spots for sky holes or to break
And
up.
the tape doesn't leave any sticky goo.
No, I haven't had that problem at all.
All right.
It's just that painter's tape, that easy off the stuff that they used to trim paint.
The blue stuff, right?
Mhm.
Green stuff.
Right. And I'm varying the thickness here quite a bit. This is going to be textural here, so I'm going to put this in a little thicker than. Still adding paint to it.
Happy birthday to Kara Pierce. All right. This is doing all the hard work for you. You can also save on pastel.
Oh, absolutely. That's another reason why I like it so much.
Yeah.
Pastels are getting fairly pricey. Like Asbig says, he likes to make his underpainting a little dark, and I agree with that. So I'm just basically getting some shapes here. I'm going to have a little rock right here.
All right. You're going to rock it.
Yep. I've been doing a lot of these video reels on Instagram. Are you familiar with that?
Am I familiar with Instagram?
With the reels, they do those little.
Yeah.
I've done several, and I've got one on Instagram doing this painting. So if anybody's interested,
Follow you on Instagram.
yeah. And it's a reel. It's about 30 seconds of me applying pastel to this underpainting.
Yeah.
So that's and I'm just adding color here because color is so important. Little flicks. This has got this nice yellow backdrop to it. Get the color. Again, this is pretty wild color.
Yeah. Well, you're a pretty wild guy.
Well, I'm not going to believe you when you say you can screw up an underpainting because I intentionally try to make them as wild as I can. I think if you're working with oils, it's probably easier to.
Yeah. Well, my goal typically is to use transparency over what I put underneath. And if I screw it up, then I can't be transparent.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is this looking like anything at all? If it does, I'll be surprised.
Looks like a fall. Now we're getting fall color.
Oh. I usually
Speaking of fall color, I have an event, an artist retreat coming up in the Adirondacks in Fall Color Week in October. And Tom, I announced over the weekend on Instagram that the fine art trips, after 4 years of being on hold because of you know what.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna go fine art trip in October. We're gonna go to we're gonna start out in Stockholm,
Oh,
and then we're gonna go on to Madrid. This is
wow.
not a painting trip, although I always paint. This is we go behind the scenes in the museums. We visit museums and artists, all kinds of things.
Well, that'd be outstanding.
It's the best.
All right. Like I say, this is just my kind of fun time. So, and I'm playing with colors, trying to find something that goes together. It's something that may not. But the whole idea is to put this underpainting down, let it dry, mix up a thin layer of fine pumice gel, put it over the top. This has pumice in it, creates a nice surface for pastel, and then you can add pastel wherever you want.
And how long does it take for the pumice to dry?
Oh, as long as watercolor takes, which is
Very fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Within just a few minutes.
All right. So you're going to do that?
Well, if I let this dry, I certainly can. I don't know how. I can dry it with a hair dryer. It might take a few minutes.
That's all right. When you're ready, let me know, and I'll make an
Okay,
announcement
let's do
while
that.
you're
That
doing.
sounds like a good idea. That way I can show the texture.
Yeah, because we want to see the whole process.
Okay.
I think. I mean, tell me in the comments if you want to see the whole process. All right.
All right. I'll take my hair dryer and dry this off, and then I'll.
All right. Well, and while you're doing that, I'm gonna step in here. All right. Our guest today is Tom Christopher, and he's going to take a hair dryer out and dry what he's working on now. He's going to show you how he's going to put the pumice gel over, and then how he's going to paint with pastel over that. So I hope that's going to be fun. I hope you guys are having a great day. We are here every day, 12 noon, and we always have a different artist and we're always trying to figure something out. You know, it's just a lot of fun. I mentioned that we have Fall Color Week coming up. I do 2 artist retreats a year, and I typically do 1 art collector trip a year, and I typically do 1 really exotic painting trip a year. So we returned from New Zealand a few months ago for a painting trip. The collector trip is coming up to Madrid and to Sweden, Stockholm. And then Fall Color Week is right before that. So if you go to both, you get to go with me. You fly out of Fall Color Week and just fly straight to Stockholm. But anyway, that's coming up. Fall Color Week is a retreat. The other retreat, the June retreat, is sold out. Fall Color Week is the 29th of September to the 5th of October, and we just paint together for a week. We don't do anything else but play and paint, and you won't take the time to do it for yourself. And so this is why we do it. And of course, the big thing we have coming up is the Plein Air Convention, which is just around the corner in May.
There's only one place in the world where the entire family of plein air gathers. Get ready for the Woodstock of plein air painting. Come home to the 10th Annual Plein Air Convention and Expo, May 21st through 25th in Colorado. Because it's our 10th birthday bash, show up and we'll bring the gifts and the cake. This year's event promises to be the biggest and most exciting yet, with a jam-packed schedule of demonstrations and workshops on 5 different stages, including a stage for oil, watercolor, pastel, and extra demos, all included for one price. And a giant expo hall of the latest art materials at deep discounts. And the only place in the world to find all the plein air specific materials in one place. Plus a faculty and attendee art show and daily paintouts with over 1,000 of your closest friends. 5 days focused on the plein air lifestyle and a few surprises. You'll have the opportunity to learn from the best of the best. Meet them and even buy them a drink. we've spared no expense to bring the finest plein air painters alive today, including Lori Putnam, Alvaro Castanet, Steve Curry, Don Demers, Michelle Dunaway, Albert Handel, Jane Hunt, Daniel Sprick, Camille Preswanik, Jim Woodark, and a total of 80 top instructors. And when we go outside, they'll be there to help you. And if you're new to plein air painting, we have a special Essentials Day just for you. We'll walk you through how to paint in every medium, what you need to start painting outdoors, and our special faculty will work directly with you when you paint outdoors together. It's a powerful way to learn, and you won't be alone, even if you come not knowing anyone. Plus, if you're new and never been before, our orientation puts people together, so you never have to be alone. Join us as we celebrate our 10th anniversary with celebrity guest Jane Seymour. VIP ticket holders will not only receive upfront seating and access to a special VIP lounge, you'll also enjoy a meet and greet with her, plus a chance to get their picture taken with this multiple Emmy and Golden Globe winner, who has a genuine love of art. How cool is that? So if you're serious about improving your skills as an artist, reconnecting with old friends or making new ones, and then having the time of your life while making memories that will last a lifetime, the 10th Annual Plein Air Convention and Expo is the event for you. Don't wait. Register today and experience the ultimate in plein air instruction in colorful Colorado. Grab your ticket today before we're sold out at pleinairconvention.com.
Something happened over the weekend. I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden, everybody's buying their tickets. People have put it off, I guess. Anyway, we had 1,200 people signed up before COVID. We don't have 1,200 people signed up now. There are still some seats left. And so get them because those people will come back. There's just no question in my mind. It's going to be a blast. We have, because it's our birthday, we have birthday gifts for you. We have one that nobody else is ever going to be able to get that everybody's going to wish they had. Just saying. Okay. Anyway, back to Tom Christopher. And Tom is looks like he's putting the pumice gel on right now. Oh, he's still drying. Well, and he can't hear us. I'm going to keep an eye out and see if as soon as he's done drying, looks like he's done. Whoa. All right. So I'm going to have to just keep doing that. I hope you guys are okay today, and leave a comment, and make sure if you like what Tom is doing, please share it so that other people can see what he's up to. And what else do I have to talk about? Like I mentioned, the Adirondack event, the retreat is sold out, although we have a waiting list for that. Because we had somebody cancel last week and somebody who was on the waiting list got in. So if you want to go to the Adirondacks, it's a week of painting, and that's in June. And you just roll out of bed and you paint all day, every day. We feed you. Everything's included, your room, your meals, the event. It's a lot of fun. We sit up at night. We paint portraits. We play music. We have a lot of fun. So if you want to get on the wait list for that. And then coming up in August is Pastel Live Online. And of course, if you're a pastelist like Tom is, you're going to want to be attending Pastel Live Online. All right, now we're going to check back with Tom, see if he's done with that hairdryer. Tom, are you done?
Yes.
All right, good. I had to stall.
Fine pumice gel on here, and it's dry.
Oh, so you put the pumice gel on already.
Right.
Okay, well, let's see you do some pastel painting over this. Take advantage of this texture.
Okay, now here's the textured area, which I showed before. I left a little hot sky hole here to kind of break up this mess when I put the tape in. So I use a very light stroke. I know some people like to, force the pastel into the paper or board, but I take a very light stroke, which allows this texture to come through. So that's pretty important. And that takes a while to develop, but I think it's worth the effort. Anyway, I'm going to start the darkest areas.
I'm just going to mention something because Amadine reminded me to tell everybody, if you cannot make it to the plein air convention, Tom, you're going to be there, right?
Yes, yes.
You're going to be a field painter. We have these people like Tom who are brilliant artists who wander around with a flag and a sign, and you just flag them down and say, hey, come help me. And they will. They'll come and help you. Everybody gets help. Anyway, if you can't make it to the in-person convention, we have an online version, which is the main stage only. It's 25 hours of content. You got chat sessions, online streaming. And so that's available for you. It's a lot less money too, and you don't have to travel. So that's an option for you. And it's a lot different than our plein air live. And so you want to catch it. So we have some special plans this year. Okay, Tom, start painting, baby.
Hey, I am. And like I said, I use a very light stroke because I want to retain some of this underpainting. It kind of creates a little mystery.
So if you press too hard, it won't show that other stuff through.
Right, and I want to retain these lines. See these lines from the texture?
Yeah.
Can you see them? If
Yeah.
you add just a little bit of green to them, they become the branches for maybe a bush.
Do we have any way to get your camera closer?
Sure.
Let's do that. Yay. Well, that was pretty easy.
Well,
Right.
how's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Anyway, I'm looking at this area right here, and I don't know if you can see. Let me get a lighter pastel. Maybe that'll help. And you can see see this line here? There's a little line there. I'll accentuate it. And this is nothing more than a dripping.
King Grody says this is glazing with pastels. Never thought about that, but it is.
Yeah, it sounds right, don't it? And I'm just gently, very, very light here. Is that coming through at all?
Yeah.
I hope so. Good. This is the technique. I'm certainly not going to be able to finish painting, but this is the idea behind it. And I'm
Nobody
going
ever
to
finishes a painting on here, Tom.
Oh, okay.
Very rarely.
I'm going to go ahead and cover some of this up. Leave a little
Kind of like
smudge.
fingernails on a blackboard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when I do classes how people cringe when I start doing this. I've kind of got used to it.
Well, at least they're not cringing at your work.
Well, that too sometimes. Like here, look at this shape here. I'm going to make a rock out of that. Something that you don't really have to draw, but it's there. That's what I like about this texture, because you never really know what you're going to find there.
Yeah. So you're creating these abstract, lumpy shapes.
Yeah. Right. I don't know if that's coming off as a rock, but
Yeah.
I'll have to step back and like I always say, I'm always walking around the studio when I paint, so I'm always stepping back and looking at it. But the idea is to get back about 6 feet and see if it comes together or not, or 8 feet, or I guess 8 but 6 feet for sure. This is going to be the little entryway into my.
If you missed this, you go back and watch it on YouTube at Art School Live. Stacy Williams said she'd love to see the whole process. He started the process with dribbling paint, letting it dry, and then putting. Why don't you explain the process one more time?
Okay,
Tom?
Sure. I started with a piece of gator board, which is this material here. I painted it first with a warm colored acrylic paint. I covered the whole surface, which is this color here. I then sketched out these large shapes. After that, I masked off with tape the area I do not want texture on, which is the smooth area here. After I masked it off with painter's tape, I took acrylic house paint and dribbled it onto this put this on a flat surface and dribbled paint on it. And I got this kind of technique here, which looks like foliage. These look like branches.
Hold that real close to the camera so they can see, maybe see the texture in it.
Okay, how close we get here?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay.
Now turn it a little bit so they can turn it like so we can see it from just a different view. Yeah, okay. All right, good. Thank you.
These kind of the strokes that you cannot paint. They just happen automatically. So I try to retain these things, these little thin lines that could be branches or other things. So it's kind of a fun process too. When I do workshops, we spend a whole day just doing these underpaintings.
Fun. Who watching is going to try this at home to create texture, whether you're doing it for another medium. Again, you can do this with watercolor. If you use Golden has a thing that you put over any texture that you can paint watercolor on. And you can do it with oil. You can do it with acrylic. Okay, the first one is Ron Copetti. All right, Ron. Roxy's going to try it. Janet's going to try it. Ken's going to try it.
I'll tell you what, Eric, if they want to try it, just email me. I'll answer questions. I don't care.
All right.
Yeah, it's just-
Well,
I'm gonna
okay.
be-
Well, we'll put your website in the comments.
Okay.
I like that sound.
Yeah. I think
All
you're
right, but somebody's watching from Iowa. Tom's in Iowa.
Oh, really?
All right, Iowa. The other person there.
Yeah, that's right. I'll have to meet him sometime.
Iowa has two people now.
Yeah, that's right.
You thought you were there all by yourself.
Okay, here's another fun shape. Look, it could be another rock here. I'm going to put that in there just for fun.
You know, this really helps because you get this randomness. We have a tendency as painters to kind of follow the same stroke patterns.
Well, yeah, and I think we get in a routine. You know, what works for you one time, you keep doing the same thing, and it gets kind of redundant. That you need to branch out and just relax. Don't take it so seriously. It's all about having fun, and if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't. You wipe it off or paint over it.
Or burn it.
Yeah, burn it. There's a good idea. I've done that before. And I don't know if that's coming off as a rock. I'll have to step back and look, but
Either that or a giant mushroom.
yeah, these are just little techniques that I've kind of picked up along the way.
Can you, people want to see a little bit of the top of the painting. Can you move your camera up just a touch?
Okay, I'll give it a shot here. How's that?
Yeah, there we go.
I'm going to go ahead and work on this background because it's kind of bugging me too. So,
Okay. Hello, Put-in Bay, Ohio. I used to go there as a kid.
let me get some sky color in here.
Okay, if you're watching from outside of the United States, say something. If you're in the United States, tell us where you are too. But we want to see. I see England. I see India. Oh man, Netherlands, Italy.
Another little trick that I've learned along the way is this idea of rubbing the pastel doesn't work for me. I just tap it.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's always been a problem for me. And this is an old Handel technique that I picked up when I did his work. But very seldom will I have to get my fingers into the paint or into the pastel, I should say, to kind of fill in the areas. Okay, then I
South
use,
Africa. Wow. All right, Franco.
I'm just going to add
British
this.
Columbia. You guys rock. Tom, you're just drawing them in. I'm going to have you on more often because you just keep pulling all these international people.
I think it's probably because I'm on Instagram so much.
So what do you do? Vivian's asking, what do you do about framing and finishing?
I frame it right against the glass. I know that's been a kind of a controversy, and it all depends on the framer. You know, I'll go either way, but I've kind of gotten away from putting a mat around them because it's so hard to frame them.
Okay, next question's from Svetlana. Svetlana, I don't know. Oh, you're from Latvia. All right. What other surfaces except Gatorboard are suitable for such an underpainting? I once used cardboard for the cover of watercolor paper, and it worked well.
That's a good question because I got an email from a lady in Canada who was trying this, and she had no access to Gatorboard. I've done this on birch panels too, but it's got to be a surface. You know, masonite will warp if you don't do it right. So you need a pretty stable, thin hardwood. And
Well, one of the keys to masonite is to varnish it.
well, it's something I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, if you varnish it on both sides,
Okay.
then the moisture cannot get in as easily.
Okay. The reason I don't use masonite is it's pretty heavy.
And it's expensive.
Yes, exactly. So I guess my suggestion would be to try a birch panel.
All right.
That's what for me.
Hello, Argentina. I've always wanted to go to Argentina.
I'm going to make just a kind of a tree line back here, something abstract.
Hello, Guatemala. Spain.
How much good on time, by the way?
Oh, I don't know. We'll just go on to all day. You can fill in another 10 minutes.
Oh, fine.
All right. Ana Isabel Blanco in Spain. I'm coming over there. I'm leading a group to Spain in late October. Going to Madrid.
Wow. How are those airports handling, by the way? Are they pretty good? Or?
Oh yeah, they're better than ours. They're
Oh,
more
well,
modern
that's,
than
I
ours.
was going to say how were ours doing, but I didn't want to be too
Yeah.
cool. But I guess the reason I don't do a lot of workshops too far away is that I don't like to fly that much.
But it's so worth it once you get there.
Well, that's true, I guess.
You might not like the 14-hour trip to New Zealand.
Well, I've been to Hawaii a couple times, so that's
That's 5 hours.
Yeah. How am I doing here? I need
I
to
think
step
you're
back.
you're doing great. Well, let's find out from the comments. What do you guys think? How's he doing? So I'm just curious. You've got that big yellow mass on the upper right-hand side.
Right.
Is that foliage?
Well, I think it's light, and on my reference, it's trees clear in the background, so I'm going to have to probably tone it down quite a bit. And I was just looking for a pastel that would do that. I'm just going to make some abstract kind of.
Oh wow, that. I love using yellow for an underpainting because it shows through. It
Right.
creates a sense of light. You guys are learning so much today. Somebody said, like, Tom is an amazing teacher, and I can't believe how quickly you're developing the image.
Right.
So you guys, if you tune in every day, you just never know what you're going to get.
Well, I appreciate that, I guess. I wasn't, this is like second nature to me. I've been doing it for years.
How long you been doing it?
Well, this technique probably, like I said, I had to let them sit for a while. So I think for probably the last maybe 10, 12 years now.
Yeah,
When
well, you're a pioneer.
You know.
You know what they say about pioneers?
Well, I'm afraid to ask, I guess.
You get arrows in your back when you're pioneering.
That's true. But see, here's a nice textured area that I just lightly casting over. And it could be anything.
So Joe Beth is asking, are you painting with the pastel? Yes, he is now. And do you have a reference photo? Suzanne is asking for that.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. This,
Suzanne, you ask, you get. Suzanne was over here at the house the other day. We loved having her here painting. Oh, look at that. All right.
it's on my iPad. I took that picture, I don't know, 2 years ago. Okay.
All right.
I always do that. Take a picture, do a small study, and then I'll go for the real thing. So I try to get as much reference as I can.
So do you use this technique when you're out plein air painting?
I have, yeah. And it's not, since it dries so fast, it's a lot like doing a watercolor underpainting with pastel on top because it dries. Out in the wind, this thing will dry in probably 15 minutes.
All these people who are watching are going to come to the plein air convention. They're going to be standing around you, watching you do this live, and they're going to want to touch the surface and feel the bumps.
Good. That's what it's all about. Is this? I actually did a little class for a group of grade schoolers. Well, last week or the week before, and they came to my studio and they all had fun. I gave them a board to work on. They stood there and took the pastels and made some beautiful work.
I love it. I love kids.
Yep. Okay. Again, I'm just feeling my way around here. I am going to step back and look at this and see how, because I really can't tell being this close.
Well, you're doing great.
Okay. But I do suggest, and even the students I work with, that you don't sit too long because, for one thing, it's not good for you. And another thing, you can't see what's going on. You need to get up. And if it doesn't look good close up, get back and see if it makes a difference or not.
What do they say about Sargent? He wore a pathway in the carpet because he was stepping back so much.
Well, and I agree with that. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And in this style, my style isn't. I read another thing about Sargent that made me laugh is that he didn't treat his canvas very well. There's people walked by when he was painting. He was beating on his canvas and scratching it with nails and all kinds of stuff. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess learning that stuff, how the masters did, it kind of gives you a license to just go nuts if you want to.
There's anything goes.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
Well, I'm going to close this up, I think. I think I'm probably about out of time, but I hope this was helpful and certainly gives me an idea. It gives you an idea of how
Awesome. Well, why don't you come back on camera so we can see you? Hello, Mackenzie in Netherlands. Welcome. All right.
Well, here it is. I'm looking at it from a little distance now. It looks a little different, but
It looks great.
well, thanks.
It's going to look really wonderful in my living room. Just saying.
Well, I've got a whole house full of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to take a look at my studio?
Would you real quick? Let's do that. We've got a couple minutes.
All right. I don't know how well I'm going to do since I'm just got my iPad. Here's my, here's what I was going to show you is my 4th year plein air badge is hanging here,
All right.
which is there. I'll probably get another one this year, hopefully.
You will get another one. And you're going to get one that has a birthday 10-year anniversary thing on it.
Good. I've got all 4 of them. I think the other ones are probably at our other house. But I call this the bunker, and you can see why. It looks like something out of a submarine.
It's like you're working on a buffalo.
Yeah, that one's an oil, and I walk by it every day, and I usually do that with oils because I'm almost afraid of them anymore.
Why?
I don't know. They take so long, and I'd just rather be at pastel. Pastels relax me.
All right. Well, then don't do oils anymore. Why don't you announce the buffalo is going to be the last one, and that way it'll be scarce and everybody will have to pay a large amount of money for it.
Here's my workstations. I don't know if you can see the pastels. But
Do you put fixative on your pastels?
the only time I'll show you something about fixative, and I've showed this in my workshops. The only time I use fixative is if I want to darken an area without changing the value.
Wow.
I learned that by accident. Of course, a lot of things I learned by accident, but
So that'll stay dark. It won't dry lighter.
it'll dry a little bit, but not so much.
Wow.
So that's kind of a nice little technique too. But I don't use it to fix anything.
Yeah. I don't recommend using fixative indoors when you're breathing
No.
it. All right. Well, Tom, this has been fabulous. Thank you so much.
Sure, anytime.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being on today. If you guys liked what Tom did and learned something, make sure you share and make a comment so other people can see it. And Tom, you're going to be a field painter at the Plein Air Convention this year.
Right. I
Looking forward-
demoed last year, so I'll be a field painter this year.
Looking forward to seeing you. It's going to be a big year.
Yep, it'll be great.
All right. Well, I'll see you there.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, man, that was fun. I like that. That's Tom Christopher. And if you didn't see the whole thing, go back to the beginning on YouTube, Streamline. Excuse me. I keep saying that. Go on YouTube to Art School Live. Look it up. Tom Christopher. He's been in there a couple times. And you can see this texture thing that he just did. We're here every weekday, 12 noon. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Eric Rhodes, publisher, fine arts connoisseur, and Plein Air Magazine. Stay tuned. We're going to tell you more about that big fine art trip to Sweden and Madrid. Watch your email for that if you're not on our email list. Shame, shame, shame. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.